So, I'll start at the Mishnah, if you have your Gemara open. So, Kol Umnin Shemer Sachar. All workers are a Shemer Sachar. So, in question 1, I asked, what does it mean that an Uman is a Shemer Sachar? An Uman is a craftsman. The correct answer to question 1 is that he's a Shemer Sachar in the fact that he has a certain level of responsibility. If it gets stolen or lost, that he's going to be responsible for that. Even though he's not paid to watch it, he's paid to work on it. But he's a Shemer Sachar in his level of responsibility if it gets stolen or lost. Okay. All of them, which means all workers, that said, take what is yours and bring the money. That means they finished the work. They said, take what is yours, I've done the work, and then bring the money. So Shemer Chinim, they step down a level to a Shemer Chinim. So question 2 was, when does an Uman become a Shemer Chinim? And I said, answer from the Mishnah. The answer is when he's finished the job. When he says, come and take what's yours. That would be the correct answer. Shmar li v'eshmar lach, guard it for me and I'll guard it for you. This and that. Now we're not talking about a worker, a craftsman anymore. Now we're talking about a regular shomer. And he says, guard it for me and I'll guard it for you. So it's like a type of payment for guarding. And Shemer Sachar, the Mishnah says, he becomes a paid watchman. So in question 3, I asked, give an example where Shemer Sachar is paid in other ways, but not with money. This would be a perfect example for that, because he's being paid in another way. Someone is going to watch his object as a payment for him watching that other person's object. Okay. Now, Shmar li v'amalei hanach lefanai. If the person says, can you watch this for me? And then the watchman says, put it down before me. So in other words, he's accepting on himself to watch it. So the halacha is he's Shemer Chinim. He becomes a Shemer Chinim at that moment, just when he says Hanach Lefanai. So in question 4, when I said, what is Hanach Lefanai? I said, put it down before me. What that's saying is he's accepting the responsibility of a watchman. He's a Shemer Chinim. He's only responsible for negligence. He's not responsible if it's stolen or lost. But nevertheless, if he says Hanach Lefanai, put it before me. Lefanai means before me. So that's a way of accepting it. Okay. The next question that I asked on the test is, what is the machlekes between Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda? I'm going to read that in the Mishnah now. Reveiw ala mashkin, if he borrows money and he gives a collateral, so the lender is a watchman over the collateral. So what type of watchman is he? So Shemer Sachar. The Tanakama holds that he's a Shemer Sachar. He's a paid watchman. What does it mean that he's a paid watchman? That means that he's responsible for the collateral if it gets stolen or lost. Rabbi Yehuda says, Reveiw ma'is Shemer Chinim. No, he's only responsible for the collateral as a Shemer Chinim, not like a Shemer Sachar. So the answer to question 5, what is the machlekes between Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda? The correct answer is, what is his level of responsibility on the collateral? I'm talking about the lender. Is he considered a Shemer Sachar, or is he considered a Shemer Chinim? I didn't ask. What the reason for this machlekes is. It's a little complicated. We learned it though. It has to do with if he's doing a mitzvah, if he's pater, if he's exempt from paying a poor person tzedakah, is that considered an income or not? But I didn't get into that on the test. I just asked, what is the machlekes? Okay, the next question 6, was, what does Abishal say? So we'll read that in the Mishnah. Abishal says, Rashai Adam lahaskir mashkoinai shel ani liyas paisek v'hoylech alav. A person is allowed to rent out the collateral that a poor person gave him for his loan, that he should collect a fee and continue on it. In other words, he should make some income off this collateral, because he is like returning the lost object. He's returning the collateral to the poor person, because the poor person doesn't have the money to give it back to him. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Question 7 is, who is normally the author of a Stam Mishnah? Normally a Stam Mishnah is Reb Meir. Now, if you look at the first piece of the Mishnah, it says, Kala umnin Shemer Sacharein. All craftsmen are Shemer Sachar. We're going to ask a question that if that's Reb Meir talking, that's going to contradict what we're going to learn in a brisa. So it says, Lema Masnisin, like Reb Meir. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Reb Meir, so in word 2, I said Lema Masnisin. Lema is like, let's say. Our Mishnah is not like, let's say our Mishnah, the like Reb Meir is not like Reb Meir the Tanya, because like we learned in a brisa, Seicher, a renter, Ketzad Mishalim, how does he pay, which means what type of responsibility does he have? So in question 8, I said, what does the Brisa say about a Seicha that is different than what it says that what our Mishnah says about an Uman? Follow this carefully. How does a Seicher pay? Reb Meir Mikashem Mechinam. That's the main point of this Brisa. What is Reb Meir's opinion? Rabbi Yehuda is going to say something also, but we're looking at Reb Meir. So let's only focus on Reb Meir. Reb Meir says that a Seicher, a renter, is like a Shem Mechinam. Rabbi Yehuda argues, and he says it's Shem Mesacha, but that's not our issue. Our issue is Reb Meir, because we're looking at Reb Meir of the Brisa, and we're comparing Reb Meir of the Brisa to Reb Meir of the Mishnah, the Stam Mishnah. So in the Mishnah we said that a craftsman is a Shem Mesacha. In the Brisa we say that a renter is a Shem Mechinam. I'm not going to get into the comparison, but there is a comparison between a renter and a craftsman. And if a renter is a Shem Mechinam, then why do we say in our Mishnah that a craftsman is a Shem Mesacha? We would suppose that they would have the same halacha. Okay, so that's the first question of the Gemara. And question 9, I said, what is the logic behind the two opinions of the responsibility of a Seicher? The logic has to do with, do we look at him as a watchman? Or do we look at him as a borrower? If we look at him as a borrower, he's just paying for it, so then he would have the responsibility of a Shemer Sachar. Because a borrower has full responsibility. He doesn't have full responsibility because he's paying for the usage that he gets out of it. However, so therefore we'll take him down one level to a Shemer Sachar. If we look at him as a watchman, so he's not being paid. He's not being paid to watch it. So therefore he would be a Shemer Chinam. Reb Meir would look at him like a Shemer Chinam. So the Gemara now answers, Afilu Tamer Reb Meir, even if you say our mission is Reb Meir, it's still going to work together with the Brisa, because Bahahi Hano, with that benefit, the Kashavik Kuli Alma, that he leaves or neglects the whole world. If you look in word number 4, the Kashavik, that was that he leaves. Shavik means to leave or neglect. Kuli Alma, the whole world. And he hired him, so Havi Ilaveh, he becomes on it, the word number 5, Havi Ilaveh, he becomes on it, Shemer Sachar, a paid watchman. So in other words, that little flattery that he chose to have him his worker. So the Gemara asks on this. I asked in the question 10, how does the Gemara attempt to resolve this difference? The Gemara attempts to resolve this difference based on what we just learned, that because he hired him, that's a little bit of a flattery. He chose him over anyone else, and that makes him into a paid watchman. The craftsman becomes a paid watchman. However, the renter is just a regular Shemer Chinam. But the Gemara rejects this. I didn't ask this in the test. How does the Gemara reject it? But if we go on, the Gemara does reject this. It says, Ihachi Seichanami. So you were trying to make a difference between a Uman, a craftsman, and a Seicher, and a renter. If so, Ihachi means if so, that's on question 10, in word 10, I'm sorry. If so, Seichanami, a renter also, by Hiana the Kashavik Koli Alma, with that benefit, the Kashavik Koli Alma, that he leaves the whole world, and he rents it to him, Havi Ilaveh, he becomes on it, again, word 5, he becomes an Shemer Sachar. So we're trying to make a distinction between a Shemer Chinam, an Uman, and a Seicher. They're exactly the same. So the Gemara now says, Ela afilu tema Reb Meir. Rather, even if you say that a Mishnah is Reb Meir, I'm going to give you a new answer. Ba'hiana the kayav le'tfei porta, with that benefit. That benefit, the kayav that he gives him tfei porta a little bit more. Havi Lavei Shemer Sachar, he becomes a Shemer Sachar, and we're talking about that he gets a little bit more than the work that he's putting in. Tfei Porta is question 6, a little bit more. So he becomes a Shemer Sachar for that. So the Gemara now asks exactly what we did before. Seichanami, you're trying to make a difference between a craftsman and a renter. It's exactly the same thing, because a renter as well. Mila Yaskina, now we're not dealing with the Kamash Vile Tvei Porta, that he could lower it a little bit also, he could lower the rental fee, and it will be exactly the same thing. He's getting more than what he's paying for. Elafilu Tamer Rab Meir, this is question 11. Even if you say our mission is Rab Meir, the answer that the Gemara accepts, Bahiana the Tafis Le'agre, with that benefit that he takes it for the reward, for the payment. In other words, he doesn't have to that he doesn't have to go out and come and to go in and go out for the money. So Havi Yaleh Shemer Sachar, that's what makes him a Shemer Sachar. It's because he can hold it for till the money comes in. So that's what makes him a Shemer Sachar. Okay, let me stop over here, and the Mitzvah Shem tonight I'll give you another one, so you'll be able to do a proper review. But 10 minutes, we basically did half the Gemara, and we got until question 11.